So I'm just curious to know what your best practices are for firing well, in addition to what you just mentioned, and maybe addressing the instance of problem employees who are not just underperforming, but do something that catalyzes the firing.
So let's take the ones that are just firing well generally. And you basically heard it. It's recognizing that when someone gets let go, it's a major life trauma. There are sort of three pillars in your life. There's your home where you live, there's your most significant relationship, and then there's your job. And if any one of those collapses at any one time, it's a major trauma. If two collapse, or even God forbid three, it's like, oh, you know, mental game over, and you sort of reboot. And so recognizing that when someone is experiencing trauma, their brain just does not work well. So it's very difficult for them to do a job search and advocate for themselves. I mean, there's a corollary. You just lost your significant relationship. Now you're thinking about the effort. It's not a job search. It's a partner search, and the pain that,
Yeah.
how it feels overwhelming. So you're just not even starting. Whereas the same thing happens in a job search. And of course, what your friends can do to be helpful to you is help you begin, help you create the setting for that so you don't have to do it completely on your own. That's the corollary here. The manager can help take the first few steps for the person so they don't have to take those steps entirely on their own. That's it. That's all we're talking about here. That's firing well. And the reason it's important to do, because obviously you think, well, this person isn't capable, and why should I be helping them and spending time with them? Shouldn't I be spending time with the people who stay here, who want to be here, who are performing? And the answer is that the people who stay are watching. And they're watching how you treat this person. Because everybody at the company thinks at some point, I might be let go. And if that happens, what will happen to me? And if they see that you treat this person who got let go well and really help them, then all of a sudden a collective sigh of relief goes through your company. It's silent. You won't hear it, but it'll eliminate fear. And when people eliminate fear, then their brains work better and they'll perform better for you. So you can actually look at this as a very self-interested action. I think it is. You don't need to be selfless to help people when you let them go. You can be very selfish and actually do this. Now, the second part of your question was, well, what about criminal behavior? Tim, I like your edge cases.
Yep.
Of the hundreds of companies I've coached and the tens of thousands of employees, maybe even hundreds of thousands of employees within those companies, no one has ever brought to me that I need to let this person go for criminal behavior. Now, I need to let this person go for what I've considered to be extreme incompetence. I can't imagine they're good at anything. And in there, I urge the CEO to get curious.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I wasn't saying exclusively criminal behavior, but if someone is so bad, or, I mean, that would be a case, or someone, you look at their accounts payable and you're like, wow, we are 60 days behind in paying our vendors. This should never happen, and this can't happen. Therefore, this person needs to be let go because
Yes.
maybe conversations have been had, et cetera. So it's not just criminal behavior. I will push back a little bit and say there is criminal behavior. I mean, I know a lot of CEOs, like there's bad behavior. So it's not like it
I'm
doesn't
sure there
exist,
is.
but I'm not limiting my hypothetical to that.
Yeah. And maybe the CEOs I coach have just not brought that behavior to me because they don't want me to cause them to fire that person. Well, they
Yeah,
want
or that might be a question for the general counsel, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. But when there is a situation, because this definitely does happen, where people say, this person is so horrible, so egregiously irresponsible, I can't recommend them to anyone for anything. Well, clearly, and then I would encourage that CEO or that manager to just wait till time passes, wait till the anger dissipates, until they can get curious. Go to that person and find out. Say clearly, the facts are this. You are not qualified to do this role. Or clearly, you don't seem to be passionate about this role. But what are you passionate about? What do you really enjoy? And they'll say something. And then say, well, let's see if that can be translated into some kind of money-making effort. And almost always it can. And what I find is that many, many, many people, and this is another issue, an energy audit we can get into, are actually stuck in roles that they don't like. Some they're good at, and they get paid well for it, so they continue to do it. But over time, if you don't like something that you're doing, in the end, you won't do it well. You can't, because you're competing against the person. There are people out there who do like it, and they will study it and learn more and give energy towards it. And even if they're less experienced, over time, they will surpass you and far surpass you. So I find that generally humans are not incompetent. What they are is they're uninterested. But if you can find a place where they're interested, suddenly they become very competent.
And if you can't find that place and you need to let them go, what does that conversation look like? Since you're not going to want to go on Twitter and so on in that case.
If they don't want to play ball, and if they won't share with you what their passions are, what they might be interested in, or what they might want to do that you agree with, they'd be good at, then you can't help. It's like if I'm trying to coach someone and they don't want to be coached, it's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
But you've tried. That's all. You've made the offer.